Welcome to Productive Bees. This mod is all about breeding bees in order to have them automatically gather a large variety of resources, even including diamonds. So how do we get started? Well, first, there are two requirements. First one, install just enough items. It's required for this mod or it's going to be immensely more difficult. Number two, if you don't know how vanilla bees work, check the description. I've left a link to explain that process. Cool, good on both of those? Let's do it. To start off, the very first thing you need to do is find a vanilla bee's nest. This is going to allow you to get honeycombs as you harvest it. Once you've gathered a good amount of honeycombs, it's time to create your first advanced beehive. What's the difference? Well, the advanced beehive is going to allow you to open the GUI, in which you can see how many bees are in the hive, an inventory for honeycombs, and a section to place bottles to auto-gather honey. As an added bonus, the advanced beehive doesn't require a campfire to be harvestable, and you can move bees inside it without using silk touch. You can also add an item called an expansion box that will allow you to hold 5 bees instead of 3, and give you access to upgrades that we'll go on over later. I also recommend creating bee cages that will allow you to capture bees inside of your inventory. You can also right-click on a hive with a bee cage, and the bee will set its home position to that hive. So now we have the basics set up. Our next thing to do is figure out what resources we want our bees to produce. You may have noticed walking around the world that there are new variants of nests that spawn in different environments. You can also craft these variants by looking at the recipes in JEI. Each of these nests have the ability to spawn their own bee if the conditions are met. You can check these conditions by clicking on the information button in JEI. For an example, the sand nest needs to be placed inside of a desert. Once placed, all you need to do is place honey treats inside, which can be crafted with honey and honeycomb. Each of these nests contain a new version of a bee that is solely used for breeding, as it does not produce any resources. These bees will also not enter any hive that you have placed down and will only live in their own nest. So why do we care about these bees? Well, if we breed certain solitary bees together, we can produce bees that are starting to be useful. Wild bees are much like solitary bees, but will gladly move into a hive as well. They primarily live inside of the end and also the nether. As an example, let's look at the Slimy Bee, which in the end will generate Slimeballs for us. If we click on the slimy nest block in JEI, we can see that it will attract wild slimy bees. However, the nest must be placed in a swamp biome. Once we place the nest down in a swamp biome and click on it with a honey treat, a bee will begin to spawn by default in 1200 seconds. If we want to speed this process up, we can just click on it with more honey treats. As soon as the bee spawns, we can click on it with a cage and bring it back to our home. Once we've made it back to our home, simply shift right click on a beehive, and the bee will now begin to harvest honey and its own product into our hive. The output of the bee will be in a comb version of what we are trying to receive. In our case, to convert slimy comb into slime balls, we need to place it inside of a centrifuge, which will slowly over time process the combs. It's also worth noting that you can use a heated centrifuge or power centrifuge if you have mods that will create FE. There you go, you created your first automated bee. Now let's get into the bees we actually care about. To best walk you through this process, I'm going to show you how to get a diamond bee. Please take note that your JEI is your friend. Try left clicking on a bee to see how to breed them, and if that doesn't work, that usually means those bees are generated through nests, just like I did with the Slimy Bee. In that case, search for the nest that correlates with the bee that you want. So for the first step, let's left click on the diamond bee. It looks like in order to get a diamond bee, we need to breed an ender bee and a lapis bee. So let's start with the ender bee, which in this case, we can't left click on it, which probably means that we need a nest. So let's search nest in JEI and click on a block that should relate to the end bee, in which case this is the end stone nest. So if we right click on that and click on information, it says it spawns an ender bee. The only thing we need to do is craft the nest, place it inside of the end, and it will generate an ender bee, which we can capture with one of our cages. Boom, we're already halfway done. Next step, let's look at the lapis bee we need, which in this case, it looks like we need a redstone bee and a blue banded bee. Let's start with the blue banded bee. He's a solitary bee that spawns in dark oak nests. So we can either craft this nest and get one to spawn, or we can craft a nest locator and locate this nest. Same thing, get the bee to spawn and capture him in a bee cage. Now for the redstone bee, it looks like we need to breed once again with a chocolate mining bee and a glowing bee. The chocolate mining bee spawns from a dirt nest, so we will gather him, and the glowing bee spawns from a glowstone nest, so we'll also gather him. Look at that, we're almost done. We just have to breed them all. I recommend making an enclosed area and grabbing several flowers so you can begin the breeding process without losing any of the bees. Place down the glowing bee and the chocolate mining bee, right click both with flowers, and boom, we got a redstone bee. Now place down your blue banded bee, right click both with flowers, and we got a lapis bee. Lastly, place down your ender bee, right click both with flowers, and finally we got a diamond bee. Congrats, you've already automated diamonds. Now if we really want to get even more fancy, there are professional bees. There's a farmer bee that will automate farming. There's a rancher bee that will milk cows, sheep, and llamas. The lumber bee will generate logs. The quarry bee will generate stone. The collector bee and hoarder bee will collect collect items off the ground, and the dye bee will generate dyes, all of which are created in similar versions to the bees that we just discussed. There's another special bee that we should talk about before we move on to the last items. The Draconic bees are an advanced bee that will generate materials that can allow you to create dragon eggs, among other powerful items. It's worth noting that there is a special nest you can create called a dragon egg hive that, when placed in the end, will make it so bees will no longer need pollination. This is an easy way to automate Draconic bees. For each of the advanced hives and all of the blocks I will go over next, there are upgrades that can be installed. The baby upgrade will give a small chance for the bee living inside of the hive to produce new offspring. The productivity upgrade will increase the number of combs a bee produces per trip. The speed upgrade will decrease the time a bee spends inside the hive. The filter will only allow bees of a certain type to enter the hive. The range upgrade will allow the farmer, collector, or hoarder bees to have a farther range to do their profession. And the anti-teleportation upgrade will force bees to no longer be able to teleport. Each of these upgrades can be added to the blocks as well. There are some blocks that are worth knowing about, especially if you have an energy system. The breeding chamber allows you to breed bees in a safe environment, so you don't have to worry about them running away. The baby incubator allows you to speed up the growing of baby bees. The honey generator burns honey to produce power. The feeding slab can be used in combination with a simulated hive upgrade to auto-feed 3 bees without them leaving the hive. The bottler auto-bottles honey if pumped in from the side, or can be placed next to a centrifuge to be filled automatically. And the catcher will auto-catch any bee flying over it. The last thing to cover is genetics. Genetics is still very new to this mod, but the general idea is to take a gene from one bee and place it onto another to make a better version of a bee. For this example, we will give our diamond bee productivity. We start by using a piston aimed down at a bottler to push a bee into the bottle. Each bee should give you a different gene samples depending on which one you push into the bottle, but for us, we're just going to push a diamond bee into the bottle. Then we throw the bottle into a centrifuge and out will come gene samples. We'll grab the productivity sample, craft it with a honey treat, and then feed that honey treat to the bee that we want to give the gene to. And there you go. That's productive bees. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and let me know what other mods you want me to fully cover.